Hey there, this is a quick demo on how I've automated my lead generation and lead enrichment. I've done this using N8N, Appify, Find Email for enrichment, and Google Sheets to act as the CRM. Probably the easiest way is to just run through, what I'll do is I'll run through each of the workflows which run the whole process, and then we'll go from there, and then I'll demo it afterwards. So essentially what I've got here is a Telegram trigger where I enter a niche. It then references a list of cities. So I've got here the top 100, I think it's about 100. Top 100 cities in the UK. And essentially what we do is we run an Appify actor for each of those cities for that niche. So, and for those of you that don't know Appify, it's essentially a tool for scraping. So what we're doing is we're running the Google Maps scraper. So what it will do is it will fetch the list of cities, loop round them. For the demo purpose, we're just going to do the top city. But what it will do is it will loop round, and then for each city, it's going to activate an actor. And so we pass in the niche and the city here. So for instance, if we type in, we'll do a demo of property management here. So if we typed in property management, it's going to loop through, start an actor for property management, Manchester, property management, London, Birmingham, for instance, and it will just loop through creating actors for each of those cities. Once the actors are complete, we've got a webhook here which listens for the success of an actor run, and then this gets triggered, and what it will do is it will fetch the results from that Google Maps scrape on Appify. We'll then loop around all of these items for each individual actor, and we just filter out all of the rubbish that we don't need. So we need a website coming back. If there isn't a website, we can't enrich the leads, so we filter out all of the leads from Appify that don't have websites. We then also filter out a bunch of niches that come back which aren't relevant, so like office buildings, shops occasionally come back, stores, salons, cafes. There's a bunch here. We could probably add more. There's still some tweaking that needs to be done to this. It's not 100% yet, but it does 99% of the work already. And so once we've gone through, filtered out the rubbish, we then add the leads to a list here called freshly scraped leads, which are just the leads which come straight from Appify, and those are these 5 columns here: business name, niche, city, website, and phone. The domain we get later. So that is this workflow here. You'll also see a bunch of wait modules here because Google Sheets API limits are notoriously pretty low, so there's a lot of waiting around involved. I think it's 60 requests per minute, so we need to try and hit across all of the workflows, and we're calling Google Sheets quite a lot. We need to make sure it doesn't hit more than 60, otherwise it will just break. So yeah. So that's that. So this is looping around and listing all of the leads from Appify. And then what we need to do is we need to enrich them. So this then calls this. So once for a single actor, all of the leads have been generated. And just to go back, we've got a massive wait here, so that 5-6 minutes, so that there's not multiple actors running and generating leads at once, just to minimize the chances of getting a Google Sheets API error, and because I was getting those quite a lot at the start, so we're just trying to minimize that as much as possible. So yeah, once all of the leads have been generated and put in the freshly scraped list, we then we fetch all of those leads from that list, and now we enrich the leads. So we loop round, check if they're already processed, because testing this I was going over the same list multiple times. We obviously don't want to enrich the same lead twice. So then what we do is we fetch the domain from the website, which we get from Appify, which is why we filtered out the leads that didn't have websites, because that's a requirement. We fetch the domain using a simple ChatGPT prompt just to extract the domain. We then pass the domain. Well, firstly, we add the domain to this sheet because we use the domain to then link to another page, which we'll get to in a minute. But we add the domain to this sheet here. And then what we do is we call the find email email finder API, I believe, which basically just enriches. It finds the target, like CEO, founder, owner email for said domain. And then we wait, just because, again, Google Sheets don't want to trigger too many of these. So that is this enrichment flow. So while this is going around, we have how this API works is on success, or when the API call is complete, it calls a webhook. So we've got this fifth workflow here, which is basically, pardon me, is responding to the the API call finishing here. So when the API call finishes, it calls this. If a lead or an enrichment has been found, we go down. We then get the rows. So we get the row that we were currently enriching. We append row in enrich sheet. So then what we do is we get all the details for this row. We then add it to an enriched sheet here with the extra enriched detail, which is name, first name, and email of the lead to target. And then what we do is we update this original sheet with enriched equals true. And I'll talk a bit more why we do this after. And essentially, once we've gone through this for every lead and enriched, or tried to enrich all of them, then what we do is we call the last workflow here, which we go round and we delete all of the leads in this original list where the enriched equals true. So essentially what we're left with is, for the niche and the city, or all of the cities, if currently we're just limiting this to the first city, but this will run for all of them in the list. What we're left with is a list of, per niche, a list of enriched leads here, and then a list of not enriched leads. When I was doing this in bulk, what would happen is you'd get all of the leads from Apify, pass them into Find Email or any mail finder in bulk, and then you'd be left with a sort of unformatted structure of a mixture of enriched and not enriched leads. And then it would take like 10 minutes just to separate them, because the way I'm formatting it is just by niche, I'm getting a list of enriched and not enriched, because the not enriched leads could still be enriched later down the line or with a different tool. One improvement I've seen for this would be to maybe use any mail finder instead of Find Email, because the enrichment rate for the testing I was doing using any mail finder was quite a lot higher than Find Email. But nonetheless, anyway, what we'll do is we'll run it and you can see it in action. So we're going to do property management here. I did run this earlier, but I ran it for London. So what I've done is I've just brought Manchester on top of London. So it's gonna run through Manchester first. So we're going to do this. It's going to wait for the Telegram trigger. We're going to copy this, paste it in here. It's going to get the cities, it's going to get Manchester, loop round, and then it's going to start the actor here. So if we go in, we can see that an Apify run has been created for property management, Manchester, UK, and let's see it doing its thing. And then now we wait, and then once that's completed, this is going to be called. And then what it will do is it will gather all of this, the 50 results we've got here. Again, you see some don't have websites, so these we're filtering out. It will loop around all of those here, filter out the ones we don't want, add the leads to the database, which we've got here. So as you can see, the one thing with the phones is that it's the phones are formatted with a plus, so it comes up as an error in Google Sheet. That's also one thing I need to fix here is you'll see it, but when we copy the data over here, the function or this value up here is not copied across, it's actually the error text, so we actually lose the phone number. It's fine for me for this process or right now, because I'm not actually doing any cold calling, but obviously it would be good to just keep the phone number anyway. But yeah, as you can see, we're getting a bunch of leads here coming straight from Apify. These are these leads here coming through into the sheet. Property management companies, real estate agencies. Again, like housing association, that might be a dud lead. We might want to remove that. But again, these filters here are just to remove all of those sort of ones that we don't want. You could use AI for that, really. You could pass in the actual niche that you want and have a sort of confidence score, how close it is to the niche that you're actually targeting. And if not, just filter it out. That's another way you could do this. But yeah, so I'll probably just skip to ahead where we've actually generated all of these, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so yeah, we've nearly grabbed all 50 leads now. So from Apify, we see that there's a output of 50. We might have filtered some out though. So, but yeah, as you can see, we've got 44 now leads in here. So what will happen once this finishes, it calls workflow part 3, which is this one, which is the email, which is the lead enricher. So what we'll see is that we'll start, we should start seeing some domains. Yeah, there we go. There's the first domain. We'll start seeing some domains come through. And if the lead has come back with an enrichment, then it will mark true here. So we should see that happening. We'll see. But yeah, so this now runs. It calls the find email API, which then runs this. And yeah, appends true if we found the email. And this might error, let's see, it might error because of the amount of, it looks like it has failed, which means let's go and see executions. Yeah, too many requests. And this is why I've added this, where are we with part 3? So yeah, it's not perfect. It does like 99% of the work, but this is why I've added this not already processed, because we can just execute the workflow. Oh, set too many requests. We're gonna have to wait a minute. We'll come back in a second when the API is cooled down. Okay, we're going again. We've waited a little bit, but yeah, so it's now going to be looping through. But again, that's exactly why I've added this not already processed. If it does fail, the great thing about this is you can go in and just manually start it again, and then it will, and then it will just start the process from where you left off. Here we go. We've seen that the enriched is true for LA property discovery. So if we go to enriched, we'll see that this is now in here. So there you go, you can see it working. There is one thing I just noticed as well, is that this top lead didn't come through on the freshly enriched, so I will just check that in a second. Not entirely sure. That might have been to do with the error, to be honest, but we shall see. So yeah, now it's just going to go down here, fetching the domains and trying to enrich them, which is what we can see happening. So here we go, we're getting a bunch of leads coming down in the freshly enriched list. So yeah, we're actually getting quite a good return here. Find email can be a bit hit and miss. One thing I will do in the future is use an email finder instead and give that a try, because yeah, I think I mentioned before, I did a test run of the 100 free credits and I got like it was a lot higher percent return rate on enrichment. So I'm not, yeah, I don't know. But it does cost like twice the amount of credits, so it's a bit more expensive. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. This will just work through. Essentially now what's going to happen is it's going to go down, find the domains and enrich as many as it can. And then afterwards, it's going to go through and delete all these rows where enriched is true, because we have them in our enriched list over here. But yeah, I'll probably just wait and we can skip ahead to where when we've got the finished full list of leads. Right, yeah, as you can see, we're nearly down the end of the freshly scraped list where we are enriching the leads. Once this gets to the end, then it will loop around and it will delete all the rows where enriched equals true. And yeah, as you can see, the enrichment rate with find email is pretty low. So what I will do is I'll run the not enriched list through any mail finder and see if I can get any more through there. But yeah, what we should see now is that these true leads should be getting wiped. There probably is a little pause. But yeah, then this will run. It gets enriched rows, loops around, deletes the rows where it's true. Let's hopefully assist. Yeah, there we go. So undeleted, this one will delete. Anglo, this one will go. Again, we've got a 2-second delay because of Google Sheets timeouts, which we may have just gotten. I think we did just get a Google Sheets timeout. Yeah, okay, there we go. We're back. We are continuing. Yeah, so the one flaw of this is still that we just need more waiting. There's too many Google Sheets API calls. I'm sure if you used another just CRM service, not Google Sheets, maybe they have a much higher API limit, in which case it's much easier. It would be much easier to just use that. But yeah, as you can see, it's going through, deleting all of these marked as true. But yeah, as you can see, we're left with one list of leads which have not been enriched, i.e. we don't have true here, and we've fetched the domains, and then we have a list of enriched leads here, which we can then just copy into different Excel files or whatever. This does run, as I was saying, this does loop round every city in this list. So if you leave it running, it will just loop round every city and do the process for each city. Again, we need to add some more wait modules because there's still some timeout errors due to the Google Sheets API limits. And the other thing that we can improve is definitely the rate of enrichment. So maybe trying a different enrichment service other than find email. So maybe an email finder in this case. We'll definitely give it a try, although it is a bit more expensive. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you on another demo. Cheers.